But from the breakout stars on over to the current stars, the NXT stars, let's talk about the NXT champions and who is going to be throning each of them. We have the NXT champion of one Obafemi, the NXT women's champion of Julia, North American champion of Shawn Spears, North American women's champion of Stephanie Vaquer, Fraxium are the NXT tag team champion, and Lexis King is the current Heritage Cup champion. So if you look at the order when it goes to Heritage Cup, it's usually Heritage Cup winner becomes the eventual North American winner, and North American winner becomes the eventual NXT champion. So if that is going to be true, then I think the guy who would dethrone one Lexis King is actually going to be Javon Evans. I don't think he's going to get the North American Championship or the NXT Championship just yet. I think that'll be coming down the line. He is still really young, has a lot to improve on. We don't need to throw him into those lights yet by rushing him to be one of these top guys. We can give it time. And I think by having him become the Heritage Cup champion, that right there is showing that we believe in him, but we also know that he has a lot of areas to improve, so we're going to give it time. Now, if he does become that, does that mean that Lexis King becomes the North American champion? Not necessarily, because I think Lexis King does have it all. I think what Lexis King is running into right now, though, is a Ricky Saints problem, where I think Ricky Saints has to become a champion sometime soon, because when you signed Ethan Page, you made him a dang champion within like 50 days, and I don't think he's going to dethrone Obafemi. That'd be absolutely crazy. But I could see Ricky Saints possibly dethroning one Shawn Spears, because Shawn Spears is probably like a transitional champion. I don't think he's going to hold it for that long. He might even lose it at Stand and Deliver to one Ricky Saints, and it's going to be, the push for Ricky Saints. Because then eventually Ricky Saints, I think, will be one of the guys to get the NXT championship before going up to the main roster. So who becomes the NXT champion? Because like I said, it goes Heritage Cup, North American, NXT championship. Does that mean that Shawn Spears is going to be the next NXT championship or champion? No. So this is actually a hard one. This is honestly the hardest of ones to pick, because I don't think Tony D'Angelo would be the next NXT champion, because I don't think he's going to dethrone Obafemi. You're probably not going to run that back again. I think you really want to continue to protect Obafemi, so you're probably not going to go Tony dethroning him. I think we might lean into a different direction here, and we might have Tony eventually be NXT champion, because I think he does have everything it needs to be a star. I think this guy could be a mid-card champion. It could be a staple in the mid-card division, similar to one Ludwig Kaiser. I really love the family gimmick. I've been loving Tony D'Angelo for a long time, ever since that NXT versus NXT 2.0 War Games match. So I could see a world where he gets it down the line, but I think the guy that's gonna get it after Obafemi might end up being a TNA star. I could see a world where if Cora Jade does win the TNA Knockouts Championship, I could see Moose, I could see Mustafa getting that NXT Championship, or maybe even Joe Hendry, and that's how they smooth him into WWE. Because I know his contract does end up this year, so I think he might end up losing that TNA Championship with like the next few months, and then you have him go to officially go over to NXT, and then he dethrones Obafemi for the NXT Championship. I wouldn't really like that, because I think like Joe Hendry is cool and all. Hey man, I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry, the mic worker and the character worker, not really the ring worker. I'm not the biggest fan of his in-ring work. I think it's kind of like a bit LA Knight-ish, but just nowhere near as interesting as LA Knight in any of the areas, in my opinion. So yeah, I wouldn't really like that too much, but we know WWE, if they sign somebody to a big contract, and if they're signing a free agent, it's a big name free agent, they're gonna put some belts on them within a few months. So I could see the potential of of Joe Hendry coming over to NXT and then dethroning one Obafemi. Hopefully it's in like a multi-man match at least. So maybe like he rolls up like somebody else, and then maybe they have like one more match between Joe Hendry and Obafemi, and then like Obafemi does lose via whatever. I don't know. Maybe somebody gets involved in the match and that causes him to go to the main roster. But I think he is main roster bound very, very soon. I don't think it'd be like right after Stand and Deliver. I think it'd probably be like a few months afterwards, so you could at least dethrone him properly, and not dethrone him within like a few months of having the belt, man. We got to have Obafemi have an actual run with this dang thing. We have some really good matches with the wrestlers as well. I'm super excited for the Moose match. I want to see more big matches, though, from him that involve just him showing exactly who he is. And I think that does, I think his, I think this run is going to show that. I think it's not going to be similar to Trick Williams where it was like, are you the guy? I think this run will show that Obafemi is indeed the guy. And I think eventually, though, Joe Hendry will get that NXT championship from him. Now, on the women's side of things, we have the Women's North American Championship. This one is so odd, man, because you have Jordynne Grace there, who is the big signing that I just said WWE grabs their big signings and puts belts onto them. So wouldn't she be the woman that would be the next North American Women's Championship, North American Women's Champion? But then you also have Julia, who is having a title for title match with Stephanie Vaquer. Are they actually going to have Julia be the first double champion, or are they going to go to the route of Stephanie Vaquer being the first double champion? I think somebody might get involved in this match. I'm going to be real with you. Then you also have Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker, who are feuding right now. I think this feud, it's not a number one contenders feud by any means, but I do think that this feud is going to push one of them eventually into getting a match for the North American Women's Championship. It just depends on what happens with Stephanie and Julia, because I feel like if Stephanie or Julia, like if Stephanie, okay, whoever holds the belts afterwards, whether it's Stephanie or Julia, I don't think they're going to lose those belts in like a few months. I think it's going to be like at least 5-6 months down the line when they lose those belts, because if you're going to have the first double champion, they got to have a significantly long reign with both belts. So it's really going to stifle a lot of the division if they do end up doing that, which is why I don't think they're going to end up doing that. I think somebody's going to get involved in this match so that they're not able to have it. I know there is reports that Julia is hurt, so maybe somebody goes after Julia. Maybe Stephanie even turns heel here against Julia and takes her out, and then somebody else maybe like Stephanie then drops the North American title to somebody, or maybe somebody else gets that belt. Maybe like a Jordynne Grace gets that belt, the NXT Championship to be specific, not the North American Championship. I can see that happening. If somebody else does get involved, though, I think the person who would dethrone 170 Vaquer, I'm going to go with Kalani Jordan. I think she becomes the first 2-time North American Women's Champion. No, you know what? No, actually, I take that back. I think Jordynne Grace. I'm going to go Jordynne Grace, because I think Kalani Jordan is actually going to be the one dethroning one Julia. I think they have so much faith in Kalani Jordan, man. And showing that she could play both a face and sort of a semi-heel and do it really dang well and really believable, I think they're going to start pushing her to the absolute moon. I think Kalani Jordan is going to be a future star in the company. I think she's going to be one of those, I think she falls in like that Bayley archetype in a sense where like she could play the heck out of a face, but she is a bit better when it does come to a heel. And honestly, I really, really like Kalani Jordan, man. I'm someone that I got to apologize again, man, that Kalani Jordan has shown me a lot. I did not believe the whole face thing, and I was very skeptical of her ever being a heel, because I was like, it's just not going to work, man. Not everybody can play a heel, but she's playing the heck out of this character, man. She's going absolutely phenomenal with it. So I think that she might end up getting the NXT championship from Julia, and I think Jordynne Grace might end up getting that NXT North American championship from Stephanie Vaquer. Although, like I said, there's also the very real possibility that Stephanie or Julia does win this match, and they're like, you know what, one of these two are going to be our first our first double women's champion in NXT. And if that's the case, then I'm going with Stephanie. I think Stephanie has a lot more than Julia, in my opinion. I think she's shown a lot more. I think the charisma is a lot better. I think the in-ring is just a lot better, in my opinion, as well. It's no slight towards Julia. I think Julia is cool. I'm not the biggest fan of her by any means. I've been very vocal on that. I don't really like super technical wrestlers that just don't have the greatest charisma in the ring. So yeah, I think if you're gonna go with one of the two, it's got to be Stephanie to be the first double champion, and then if that happens, like I said, it's gonna stifle the heck out of the division, man. Just look at what happened when Roman became double champion. Raw sucked. There was nothing there. There was nobody. It was not interesting. It was boring. It was just the worst thing in the world. So I hope we don't get a double champion. I hope that they just allow something to happen here, whether it be Stephanie turning heel, Jordynne Grace getting involved, Cora getting involved, somebody getting involved. I want to see that, although I would want to see Jordynne Grace turn heel, because Jordynne Grace is an absolute tank and just looks like she'd be the perfect kind of heel, in my opinion. So, yeah, but hey, y'all go ahead and let me know down below, who do y'all think is going to dethrone every current NXT champion. If you're listening to this on Spotify, by the way, I think there is a comment section as well. But if you are on Spotify and you want to watch the video version, there is also the links in the description of the description. The link in the description of the description that has a whole beacon, so you can check out my YouTube and all that stuff. And you can watch the video version of this. If you're on YouTube and you want to watch it on Spotify, there's also a Spotify version of this as well. So yeah.